we've got this from the 4/17/95 Observer. Shawn Michaels, who is the wrestling star of the show, he's talking about WrestleMania, is doing an injury angle leading to a babyface turn stemming from the incident next night with Psycho Sid. The decision to turn Michaels was based on him getting cheered at most of the arenas in the weeks leading up to WrestleMania, and him getting almost as many, if not more, cheers than Diesel at the big show. From the traditional standpoint, because of his size, Michaels looked to be about 195 to 200 pounds at WrestleMania. Looks, charisma, and how well he sells, he looks to be tailor-made for the babyface role. The only problem with that is the WWF is so weak on the heel side to begin with, and this turn leaves them almost totally dependent on a rushed push of Sid to anchor the heel side. Sid, who is immediately put with Ted DiBiase's $1 Million Corporation, will headline the 5/14 pay-per-view show from Syracuse, New York, in a title match against Diesel. I kept calling it Money Inc. before. It was the $1 Million Corporation, so that's my bad. Right. A lot going on here, though, Ted. Shawn Michaels was in line for a huge push coming off WrestleMania 11, and that next year, of course, he'd become the flag bearer for the company, which is a huge departure from what Vince had been doing usually with the big guys as his champion. For right now, though, Vince is going with what worked best in the golden age, big guys on top. So you came from the golden age. I'm wondering, what were your thoughts on Shawn Michaels?
Well, Shawn to this day is has become a very good friend, and I saw the talent in Shawn Michaels from the very get go, and and the other thing about Vince was a guy who liked big guys. I mean, he liked the big muscled up guys, and he had a tendency of, who was his, outside Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan was like his featured baby face, a great big guy. But, when you put the kind of talent that Shawn has, and the other thing is, the one thing that you can't teach any wrestler is charisma. Mm-hmm. You either have charisma or you don't. And the more charisma you have, a lot of charisma can make up for a few inches in height. I'll tell you what. And Shawn Michaels, as we all know, has a ton of charisma, and it showed. It came through all the time, and as it turned out, Vince's choice ended up being a very good one.
Yeah, and I mean, good on him. The big guy thing was maybe not working quite as well as it had before, and he's seeing these reactions for Shawn. It's like, man, you got to try something, because business was not good at this time.
Yeah.
And speaking of business not being good, a guy who gets a lot of the blame at this time is Shawn's buddy Kevin Nash, because he's on top as the WWF champion. And a lot of people call him the worst drawing champion in history, which I think is pretty unfair. I think it was just a downtime in the business. But what did you think of Kevin as the flag bearer for the company?
Well, and Kevin's a great guy, and obviously he had the size, he had the stature, and everything. And he's better on the mic. I watched him progress. And I guess I could see some people's disappointment. But again. Vince's vision. I mean, that's the one thing nobody knew. What's Vince's vision down the road? Where does he see this going? And as it all worked out, it all ended up working out pretty dang good for everybody.
I mean, Kevin Nash, no matter how you slice it, he was a big success. He's a Hall of Famer. I mean,
absolutely.
7 foot tall, handsome, like muscular. It's like,
No kidding. And you can add, Kevin's been in several movies now. I mean, I wouldn't say he's a movie star, but he's not The Rock. But I mean, I've seen Kevin in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
So
he's done okay.
He's obviously done something right.
He did all right for himself.
Yeah.
So behind the scenes,
I don't know. I don't know. I said, there would be some guys, because Kevin came along and Scott Hall came along. It was almost like a package deal, and Shawn became very close with them, and all these Uh, everybody's got all their little cliques going, and I tried to stay away from that. I'm not into clique. I'm one of the boys. I'm going to be I'm a heel. That's what I am. They're never going to turn me babyface because there's too many things they could do with $1 million man as heel. So uh, I was happy where I was.
Well, you brought up the Kliq, and it's interesting because I've got this right here in my notes. Kevin and Shawn, they were, of course, members. Razor at 123 Kid. Hunter Hearst Helmsley's getting ready to arrive to the company here, which is actually in our notes coming up. But, a lot of people said that it was bad for business, say that they were kind of pulling some really kind of cruel, stiff ribs on people at times, creating trouble. Did you have any experiences with that or witness any of it?
Uh, I'm sitting here. I'm trying to think of something, and I can't. So if they pulled any bad ribs on people, number one, it was never on me, and obviously, uh, I can't remember any of those ribs. But if there were some, then I mean, guys like do. I mean, ribs. I mean, there's all kinds of guys that do ribs. I mean, who was one of the biggest ribbers?
Kurt Hennig?
Oh God, Kurt Hennig was a big ribber, and oh gosh,
I hear
um,
Owen all the time as well.
Owen Hart. Oh yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. Owen. He was the ultimate ribber. Oh, but the thing about Owen though, it's like nobody got pissed at Owen because all Owen's ribs were pretty dang good. It was funny, and it's kind of like when you're on the road like we were all the time, to have a good laugh means a lot.
No doubt about it. Absolutely. And look, yeah, it's you get a bunch of guys together too. It's like
Yeah,
eventually they're just gonna start fucking with each other. It's pretty inevitable.
yeah.
Well, we can move on. As I mentioned a little bit ago, you're getting paired with Psycho Sid, huge guy, unbelievable look. Rumor has it that maybe he wasn't exactly all in on the wrestling business or super passionate about it. What did you think of being paired with Sid here?
Well, I got along okay with Sid. I didn't think he was the greatest talent in the world. I thought he was very good on the mic.
Hmm.
But his ring skills lacked a little. Uh, so I mean, I was okay with it. And I Sid's not really he's just a different kind of guy. And once you realize that, but I mean, I had some fun times with him, he opened up and got. But I tell you uh, what his other passion was baseball.
Softball.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Softball. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, he talked about that all the time. So
It's funny, I was gonna bring up softball here just because that's kinda like the pervading thing online with Sid is like, he loves softball way more than he loved wrestling. That might be true, but man, he had a lot of success. He was
yeah,
champion a couple times, I think.
yeah, yeah, he was.
Well, according to the Observer, there are a few other newcomers on their way into the WWF. I've got it here. John Paul Levesque will be starting as soon as his no compete clause expires, which should be mid May. He was at WrestleMania Fan Festival, as were Chris Candido and Tammy Fitch. Levesque, of course, is Triple H, who would be coming into the company with the Connecticut Blue Blood gimmick. Do you have any recollection of the first time you would have crossed paths with him?
Yeah, like when he first came in, yeah, and nobody really knew him. I remember him. I can't remember what show it was. It was whether it was just a house show or a regular show or a TV. But I still remember the first time I met him, and I got along with Paul from the beginning. You know, uh, I liked his gimmick. You know, I mean, I mean, again, it's kind of like the arrogant, the arrogant thing. I mean, it was similar in some ways to mine because I
It
was,
was.
yeah.
It was.
I mean, I was an arrogant, aloof sob, if you will.